Hey, folks, welcome to Affiliate Nerd Out. I'm your nerderator, Dustin House, spreading that good word about affiliate marketing. You're going to find me here every Thursday at noon Pacific time. Put it on the calendar. Join me and a guest. My guest today, Dallas Pop, old buddy of mine, and relationships guru. Dallas, welcome to the Nerdatorium, my friend.
Thank you, Dustin. It's a pleasure to be here. We've had a short friendship, but you've already had such a big impact in my career. So very grateful, and hopefully I can repay you a little bit in this conversation.
Yeah, it has been short. It's not even 6 months long, but you're one of those guys I gravitate towards because we are cut from the same cloth, and we've got that mind frame of what you like to call a give first kind of personality, and we're gonna get into that. That's our topic of the day. But before we do, Dallas, tell me, who are you?
Yeah. Um, Shoot. I mean, I was born thrown in the fire of this game of marketing itself. I've been in sales for half a decade now, which is a majority of my life, believe it or not. I helped launch and found a company called the Adventure Challenge, which turned into a $70 million company 4 years into its lifespan. Aside from that, I was on the forefront of creating their affiliate marketing department, which ended up being one of Rakuten's top four partners in the
Mhm.
year I joined, or new partners, I should say, partners they onboarded that year. And on top of that, we broke lots of records. We held double the ROAS standard for the affiliate industry. It was a fun ride. I generally enjoyed it. Graduated from that, from doing, out of that business, doing more of my consulting. I have a couple projects I'm working on right now, just kind of expand my horizons, dip my toes in the different affiliate marketing world. Aside from that, man, just focused on personal development and growing in this game.
Okay, great. And what kind of services or who you out there serving right now?
Yeah, so being a part of an e-commerce startup when that grew so fast too, in the beginning, you turn into kind of a Swiss Army knife, right?
Sure.
Because you don't have enough money to pay the people you need, and you don't have enough money to hire and put people into all the different places. So I've done everything as far as branding, copy, imagery. I've sourced manufacturers, distributors, built sales departments. So that being said, I help a lot of startups or companies that are kind of just launching, have lots of potential, and kind of start giving them the frameworks and the tools to help expedite their growth and save themselves from making some of the mistakes we did. I think that's the biggest thing about consulting. It's like, hey, let me tell you something that took me 4 years to learn that made a monumental impact, right? Let me give that to you right now.
Hmm. Okay, got it. And through this time, you've developed what you like to call a give first formula. Can you tell us what that is and what's behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when people focus on how can we make the biggest impact, or I even have it on a sticky note here, just because as I'm building projects, I want to make sure, you know, I'm serving people. How can I, when I give them my product or service, make the biggest impact so much? I'm sure we've heard about, I forgot who it is, maybe you can recall, but the sneezing method. It's like you want people to be sneezers about your product, where they're spreading it, you know, about
I've
how
never heard that. No.
old marketing thing. I forgot what book it's from, but then you got self goat goat in the purple cow, right? Uh, have you heard of that one? The purple cow.
Purple cow sounds more familiar, but than sneezing. But keep
Yeah,
on going.
they're both. Well, the sneezing one is it's so good that people are spreading it like it's a sickness, just telling everybody
Right.
they're sneezing, they're telling them. And then the purple cow is, you're going through a valley and you see a bunch of cows and you're excited because you're in a car, you haven't seen cows maybe. Then after 2 hours, it's boring, but all of a sudden you see a purple cow. Well, now that whole trip is going to be about that purple cow because it's
Huh.
fun, unique, and it captures your attention, right? So whenever you're building a product or a service or whatever, you want to be a perfect cow, right? Maybe they tested a couple different things, but yours had such the impact, right, that it's all they can think about. So when I try building a product, when I try building a service, I want it to be above and beyond, even relationally, right? When I work with people, I want to leave an impact, right? So if they hear about me, or let's say they talk to somebody else and they're like, hey, we need somebody who does this, you're probably going to be a little more memorable, right? If you're a purple cow compared to the dozens of other people they've talked to, right?
Fair
So
enough. Yeah, absolutely. And so what is your strategy when you're taking on a new brand to create this give first formula that you're talking about?
so that's something that I'm really trying to work on, and how can I get this in people, because it's definitely a heart posture thing, right? You have to genuinely care, you have to see the value in it, and it has to be authentic, or else it's just not going to come out right. So what I really try to explain is go above and beyond in service and expect nothing in return, you know?
Okay.
So for instance, I have a buddy, he owns a painting company, right? And he got nominated the number one house and outdoor company in the North State of Oregon. Pretty big deal. And how he accomplished that was, he's a painter, right? But when he paints, he he has his team figure out what can we do to really highlight what we did, and they'll power wash driveways, right? They'll clean shrubs. They have dusters, right? And so they'll dust all the cobwebs around the house, wash the windows, right? Because yeah, they're painters, but the thing is if they can do things that makes the whole thing pop, maybe takes them a couple hours, right?
Hmm.
That shows, one, how much you take pride in your service, but also how much you care about the overall satisfaction of your clients. So let's say, for instance, there was a buddy of mine. He has a junk hauling company. This is more like a smaller local thing. Um, so I told him, when you haul people's stuff, ask at the end, hey, is there anything extra I could do? Start naming stuff. Sometimes these people, oh, can I move furniture for you? Is there things around the garage I can help you out with? And we made a list of all the additional things, all the additional services that he can really show people, that his heart posture of serving, right? But the most important thing is the zero expectations afterwards.
Okay.
Because if you look for it, it's not going to come out. But what he's ended up doing is, now let's say he's served those people above and beyond, and he needs some reviews. How much more excited do you think those people are going to be, like, leave him
Hmm.
a review if you ask them? How much more excited do you think will those people be if somebody mentions, oh, I need this moved or hauled away, but I don't know anyone? They're gonna be, oh, I got something for you, right? It's because you planted the seed in their heart, because you serve them in a way where they're actually not just willing, but excited to bring you more opportunities, to serve their friends or just do something in compensation for them back. So that's one way I really try to enlist it. It's like, what can you do to go above and beyond what your initial services are, and yeah, it creates a huge impact. That's without a doubt.
Super smart. So in terms of being the affiliate manager of a brand or partnerships, whatever it may be, influencers, performance altogether, what are some of those tactics that you can use or that you like to utilize to showcase that value and give more than you're receiving?
That's a great question, Dustin. I It's really every opportunity, from the ground up. Your first initial outreach to a CRM or a partnership, let's say an editor, right? We don't necessarily get a hold of the first person, right? The point of contact we're looking for right away. We kind of have to sometimes go up the ranks, right?
Okay.
But if you can make that first initial message just heartfelt, fun, nice, exciting, and being honest about what value you have to provide, and what you're actually looking for, instead of just a blank, hey, I'm looking for this, give me them, right? Like straight to the throat, straight to business, but actually make business fun. I find that I'm able to get to people are more willing to give me the point of contact. People are more willing to do business with me, and they're willing to respond faster and get to me quicker, which makes my job 10 times easier, because I'm on a timeline. I'm trying to pull numbers. I'm trying to execute on these campaigns and projects, right? So just being courteous and fun in business is through emails is an important one, and it sounds kind of like oh, kind of lame, I guess. But the impact it makes is, extravagant, because these people are friends with each other, right? These
Hmm.
companies, they typically talk outside of their computer. So if you can make an impressionable first point of contact, it'll spread all the way up until all of a sudden you're talking to somebody who manages placements upwards of $20,000. Let's say, for instance, BuzzFeed. When I first reached out to them, I didn't get the person I wanted, obviously, right? Because I always try to find the shot caller.
Yeah.
I want the shot caller. I don't want their email. I want their phone number too. Like I'm not trying to go through the same process that everyone else does, because then it makes a relationship the same. And a lot of times I got those phone numbers just because they were fun. We were friends, right? We saw each other at these Rakuten, the Rakuten events, the CJ events, and it was, yo, what's up, Dallas? Finally get to meet you, right? But back to the story, it's you're not going to get those people's contact information or build these relationships if you're talking to them like everybody else,
Hmm.
you know. But when you start asking questions, eventually, when you start making your way up to totem pole of like, hey, how can I best serve you? Hey, what are your biggest pain points when working with affiliate managers?
Hmm.
Um, and then and then being like, so that way I can make sure, tell them I'm your number one brand. Or, if that's on brand for you, I'd never say that. Or tell them, so I can make your life easy. I think that'd be a better route to go. And then start catering those relationships around their biggest pain points. So they're happy to do business with you. They're not just happy, they're excited.
Yeah. I think
So,
the simple act of asking somebody, "Hey, how can I help you? How can I be of use to you?" is a giant mover in your
yeah,
relationship moving forward. And remember you asking me that question, and that led to us having another conversation, and then you coming on to this podcast. And
mm,
happy to have you on in that aspect. But it started from you being friendly in that aspect. Something that's been working for me lately, you mentioned editors. I have been taking editors that are published, that are published on big publications, and then hunting them down a little bit and finding that they have personal blogs. I will hire them to do something small, either an hourly rate or a flat rate for an article. And that way I'm getting in and I'm talking to them for at least 15 minutes and getting my voice in their head for the future.
yeah,
And then hopefully, if all things go well, and even if they don't, that's okay too. But if things do go well, they're going to think of me and my brand that I was bringing up in that conversation. And maybe they write something on a bigger publication out of nowhere, maybe for free, or at least like give me the option. What do
yeah.
you?
That's huge. I've never heard of that or thought of that, but that seems like an amazing thing, because I'm sure those personal um, blogs are probably more passionate about. They probably enjoy them out, and that's going straight to the source.
Mhm.
So that's a yeah, streamlined correlation. Kudos to you. I like the aspect of you doing business directly with them, because obviously they don't have a company that's kind of garnishing those funds when it goes to them. And then one thing on top of that, right? If you have services or products, one thing I would do is I would send product to everybody on the team.
Okay.
Uh, and obviously, it really depends on your margins, right?
Yeah.
Products, how much you have to get. But here's the thing: if I plan on doing, we're a bigger company, so I'm sure over the years with BuzzFeed, we spent probably over $250,000. How much of a difference could a 2% in my favor make, right? By sending everyone, by asking, hey, who's in your guys' office? I'd love to send one product. And okay, and I'd be like, awesome. And then I would tell them, I need you to go to each one and figure out what products they want
Hmm.
and where we can send it. Or I can send them to you. Just let me know what products you send. And some people were like, no, we don't do that. I told a couple of people, I'm like, hey, I won't work with you unless you let me do this. Like I want the editors to know exactly the quality of our product and the
Yeah.
value it gives. And Uh, I think I got through to everybody because I was pretty brutally honest.
Yeah.
You know? But again, in it, 2% lowest on totem pole, but let's say made a 8% impact, right? By having the heartstrings tugged on a little bit, by having fun with the products editors, 8% of $250,000 is 20 grand. So I got a 20 grand increase, and that's the lowest amount. That's just like a little monetary thing. Just by sending some books, right, and cameras and things online. Sometimes you got to play the long game, and sometimes I think it is supposed to hurt a little bit, right? We're not supposed to just do everything because it's convenient to us, but because we genuinely care and we want to make an impact. We want to build strong, long lasting relationships.
Yeah. And sending products is generally going to be much cheaper than any kind of sponsorship that you can buy, right?
Absolutely. Great point.
And so I think our goal as affiliate managers out there or influencer managers is to get away with simply sending free product in exchange for any kind of content or hopes that they're going to create content about that product that they like, right? What are some of those negotiation tactics that you're using that are finding successful out there for making that happen?
I mean, aside from just the heart posture thing, but like strategic negotiations, I would do if I knew it was a solid partner that I was going to be doing long term business with. I would negotiate rates given of how much I would spend with them over the year. So I'd be like, hey guys, I need a heavier discount. I plan on spending X amount with you. That's what I have budgeted. However, I need to see performance and a strong ROAS. We need and even sharing the ROAS that we're trying to hit for the target. Because I've actually had numerous companies put us in a handful of extra placements because we weren't hitting the numbers we're supposed to. And that's a extremely strong play to card to play as well when you have a year and a half of consistent business, going with them. Because what they see is like, oh, this company has already spent 30, 40 grand with us, right? But now they have specific ROASs and they're like, hey, like we need to make sure we're budgeting and delegating our money adequately. So you communicate, if we're not hitting this, I got to start doubling down on other people. Again, straight back to what we said before, it's not costing the money to put people in placements. It's sad to say, but a lot of these articles are AI generated now, which means the energy and that's not to take away from the editors who aren't doing that. Kudos to you. You can truly feel the authenticity on those people who aren't using these systems. But back to my point, it's not really costing them much to put you in a couple more articles, couple tile placements, this extra email to make sure you hit the ROAS. So communicating the ROAS goals, really communicate them, your overall goal of how much you want to spend to make them, meet you at a more comfortable place, discount your rates or throw in a little bit more to make sure that you actually follow through with that overall investment into their company. Those were my biggest ones though were definitely the performance metrics.
Okay.
What we're supposed to hit because there's plenty of partners out there and it's better to test new partners than it is to invest in ones that aren't performing for you.
Gotcha. Yeah. I find that strategy very effective as well. Like, hey, this is what we need to as a return.
Yeah.
Put this in writing. Like, if we don't get to this level, what are we going to do to be able to make good for that? Are you guys going to be comfortable with another email blast or something that's going to work out? Like, let's make sure that we can get to a place where everybody wins. Solid strategy.
Dustin, what do you think is your biggest strategy or has been your biggest card to play as far as getting reasonably priced placements, right? And still holding that win-win relationship where they're not pissed off at you because you're making them.
Well, one of my most effective methods is using some of the other websites that I own or have access to and giving backlinks. Backlinks are really important to some publications, some bloggers out there. And if I can offer something up early on, sometimes I do it before I even do the outreach. I'm like, hey, check this out. I gave you a backlink over here. Uh, hope you like this. And really hoping to work with you on this product over here. And my response rates go up pretty dramatically. Something else I'm playing around with is creating listicles of like the top 100 sleep influencers out there. And I'm going to put all of these influencers on this list. I'm going to reach out to each one of them and say, hey, I just got you on this list over here. And I've got this sleep product that I'd love for you to go test out as well. So we're already giving some kind of value up ahead of time to in hopes that they return the favor with some kind of content.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah. And as far as targets go, have you found any luck? Like, how are you finding the affiliate manager or the editor that you're really looking for?
I mean, first off, just LinkedIn, it's
Good.
a very easy route. You got LinkedIn app, but it's not, I think it's a higher premium to have that. But you just kind of search everywhere, to be honest. Just do it dirty. LinkedIn first, then on their site. And then I always like to figure out make a list, right? You have your research phase, and then you have your outreach phase, right? But every single one of those emails, it's again with the heart posture. It's fun. It's nice. It's business. It's professional, right? But it's also not boring. It's a email where it's like, oh, that's my buddy they're trying to get hold of. I'm like, they seem like a cool enough person. I'll give them that point of contact, because we all have received those emails, which is the exact opposite. Hey, I'm trying to, reach your wholesale department, but it's like this person who's just very needy and isn't offering a lot of value. It's like, I'm probably not going to give you their email.
Yeah.
So how can you position yourself exactly the opposite of that? Show value, not be needy, be nice, be courteous. Be fun, but be professional. Always professional. I'm not saying you're, it's you have to properly have fun, right? It's not unprofessional anyways. However, to say I'm the most unprofessional professional person, so I've been in relationships. But it's an art, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. Have I stepped over an island? But yeah, absolutely, but it's one and few in between, like very, very few in between.
Yeah. Well, nobody's ever accused me of being overly professional, so I feel you on that altogether. And one way I like to find influencers and affiliates and the right contact people is AffyStash. Make sure you use my affiliate recruitment software. Go to affystash.com or click this QR code right here. You're going to easily find hundreds of niche affiliates in a matter of 5 minutes. Dallas is a big fan of it, and you will be too. Go give it a try. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee with AffyStash, so there is nothing to lose. Go give it a try and see if it works for your workflow.
I'm not gonna lie, Dustin. I did, after you gave me a little pitch. We were talking and we were sharing some tools. Our last conversation we had, I did send your AffyStash to a couple people to check it out. Like, I was generally, impressed with what you did and have created there. It's a great tool. It's a genuinely great tool. And I think for anyone who is in that outsource, the outreach is part of their job, 30 days money back. I mean, I
can't beat it.
You can't beat it. And like, what's the worst thing that happens? You don't like it and you get your money back, but you still, who knows? Maybe it's your golden nugget you needed. But you did well. You did well creating it. So
thank you. Appreciate that. We've sold it to hundreds of different companies, and literally one person has taken me up on that 30-day money back guarantee. And
that speaks for itself.
It was somebody that we really didn't want to work with anyway.
That's how it typically turns out. You're like, show me the door. I'm like, it's over there. So, have a good day. Pleasure.
So, I'll give you the audience a little bit of a use case scenario that I've seen from you is when I see your emails come up in my inbox, I want to open them first. And that's because I know something's going to be fun coming from Dallas. What is some of your strategies to get that impression to the people that you're working with? What are you doing now?
Oh man, I mean, the thing is, I think the most important thing we can do in sales and business and any uh, aspect of life is, put ourselves in the other person's shoes, right?
Okay.
What emotions do we want them to have when they see our email come up, our name come up in their email, right? What do people dislike? What keeps us from wanting to open up emails? It's a Monday morning. We have 40 to 50 emails. That's like the holy grail of people just to reply on the weekends. Kudos to your weekend warriors. But you come back, you look through everything. Feelings overwhelming, right? We've all been there.
Yeah.
And then you start going through. It's like, where do you want to start? Where I'd want to start with all my partners, where I'm enjoying having the conversation with.
Yeah.
Fun doing work with them. They're a cool individual, right? Who would I start with last? Those people I don't care to work with. The ones that I might, I got out of this habit, but a couple of years, I'd let emails marinate for a day or two. If I really didn't want to work with them, just focus my time and energy, to the people who were fun, right? So what do you need to do to be that person? And this is when the most unprofessional professional comes in, right? You need to be fun. You need to be genuine. You need to spark up unbusiness related conversations appropriately in the beginning of your meetings, right? Hey, how's your weekend? Yeah, how's, what's it looking like, outside of work? Things that are appropriate, or like things about me too. I always ask how people are, right? And then if I hear like, yeah, things are good, I'm like, yeah, you're doing all right with the holiday rush? Like, how's that for you? Things that we can relate to because we're in the same field. And that's when we're like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy, blah, blah, blah. That's what you want. You want those genuine responses, right? And then maybe taking pieces of their response and then putting it in the email, right? When you're reaching out to them, that portrays that you're actually listening and paying attention. So if you're just genuinely looking to make a friend with these relationships, you'll find yourself in a position where people are getting back to you quicker. They're more excited to work with you, more willing to work outside the lines, right? Make unique partnerships, and everything runs quicker. I was a one-man workhorse e-commerce, startup fun, right? For a long time. I wanted to grow substantially, which means I needed people to respond 5 times faster than a normal relationship, right?
All right.
Because I wanted to move quick. And that wouldn't happen if these people had the aspect of like, I didn't want to talk to this person, right? I want to take my time getting back to them. So what I need to do, I need to be the opposite of that. Be somebody who they want to get back to quick, who they want to do business with, who they want to reply to, right? So those were my main focus points. But we all know, we're humans. We know what that looks like. We know we could put ourselves in their shoes. What would make us want to respond to somebody quicker? Cool, be that person than them.
Yeah, exciting subject lines. I once had an email thread where I called a guy brosif or variations of bro, and we went on for 50 emails like that. My old buddy Johnny Goodwin, and we still do that to this day. Where Brosana, Brosaurus Rex, or like whatever it may be. But have fun with people. It just makes life easier, and people will want to respond to you. But
it'll make you enjoy work more too. Like this is our lives. This is where sadly we spend a lot of our time sitting down and talking to people through email.
Yeah,
I would even do quick meetings, right? Hey, would it be better if we jumped on a quick meeting? And instead of going, nobody likes going back and forth on emails. If we all know that, right? Offer to do a quick meeting, or again, we go back to how can we best serve you, support you?
Yeah.
You have a consistent point of contact. Hey, how do you like doing business with people? How can I set you up for success? How can I make you look good to your managers, right?
Sure.
They're gonna like you. Yeah.
All right, Dallas. As we wind down here, any big tools that are working for you right now that you want to highlight?
Chat GPT. I mean,
Okay.
if you're not using that, you're living under a rock, you know. For lack of better words, you know. I mean that in all wholeheartedly. Like if you're not touching it almost every single day, you're doing you and your company a giant disservice. My favorite tool and way I like to use it is I have Brains, ChatGPT Brains, actually created uh, in ChatGPT, where the different projects I'm working on, I have a script that I fill out for each one, and it tells the name of the project, our ideal audience, our goals, pain points, demographics, psychographics, you know, everything. And I submit all of them, and I say, ChatGPT, I want you to remember all these prompts for the specific project. So every time I ask you a question, the answer is geared towards this specific,
Okay.
you know, project I'm working on. And what it does is when you start asking marketing advice, it gives you real implementations exactly for what you're going to be using it for you
Mhm.
to apply. So it's like having you know, a professional bouncing information off of you. And I mean, any issue you run into, and you just use those brains and uh, create emails, create campaigns, create what have you. I mean, that's a huge thing. It's really surprising too how many businesses or individuals don't use it. Some of the people I consult, you know, I do get the younger ones, but my favorite thing is teaching them how to use it so much and showing them the possibilities that they implement it when we're not working together.
Okay.
To me, that's a huge win. You know, if they're like, yeah, I did this, you know, by myself. I'm like, how do you do that? It's like, oh, I gave it this prompt and blah blah. I'm like, freak yeah, bro. Like, you know, you don't want to teach, you don't want to fish for them. You want to teach them how to fish.
For
The
sure.
best thing is when you get the young kids and they're like, yeah, man, I put my whole schedule in it and had ChatGPT write me a optimized time hour by hour schedule. And like, I also run a young men's group. I'm like, bro, I haven't even done that. Like,
Oh,
that's, you know,
smart. Get to
yeah.
learn something new. Everybody's using it in their own fashion, but yeah, if you're not utilizing AI, you're falling behind, no doubt.
Yeah. How about you, Dustin? Any big systems you're utilizing right now?
I mean, I have a lot of work where I'm building lists. So SEMrush, Upfluence, and Stash are like my daily tech stack to build these lists for people.
Yeah,
And I can build a targeted list of 1,000 in a couple of hours at this
yeah.
point by
That
utilizing that.
my favorite aspect of that is when you can find similar articles, just utilizing keywords, so you can find potential partners, right, along your same niche to work out to, so they can advertise your product, right, or brand. To me, that was a huge takeaway from when you showed me Stash.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Dallas, how do we get a hold of you?
You get a hold of me on LinkedIn, at Dallas Pop. Dallas just like Texas, and then Pop, Popp. And then my personal email, you just get a hold of me there. That way I know it's not coming from people just trying to blow up my business with, you know, random ads and stuff. But it's popdallas@gmail.com. So pop, Popp, Dallas, DALLAS @gmail.com. It's the best way to
Awesome.
reach me.
All right, Dallas, appreciate your time. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, Dustin, thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, folks, keep on recruiting, and we'll see you out